Welcome to today's webinar. Today we have UPPAbaby 2024 and 2025 product update. And again, today's webinar is brought to you by State Farm and Safe Kids. So again, only those that are registered for the webinar will get credit. And if you're logged in, you'll be getting that credit. But if you are watching with friends, that is great. All you need to do is quickly organize an in-person session, and you do that by just designating a lead, get a sign-in sheet, and then you're going to put that CEU on your profile page as an in-person session instead of as a webinar. We will not be having handouts for today's webinar, so please just sit back and enjoy the webinar, and it will be recorded and put up on the training site. So you can go back and watch it there again if you would like. And then lastly, when you do ask your questions, if you can please put them into the Q&A box versus the chat box, that's fantastic. That way we don't miss any of your important questions. So our objectives for today are learning about UPPAbaby's new products to better understand car seat use while in the field, learn communication tools to explain the importance of UPPAbaby design features, and provide resources to techs and caregivers offered by UPPAbaby to ensure proper install, child fit, and proper use. And we are very excited today to have on the call with us today Daniela Brown with UPPAbaby. Daniela is a mom of 3, and that gives her the understanding firsthand about the importance of precious cargo. And she is dedicated to educating consumers on the importance of child passenger and car seat safety. She's been working in the juvenile products industry since 2007 and brings seasoned experience from her automotive manufacturing and R&D background to the UPPAbaby team. Daniela has been a tech since 2008 and a certified instructor since 2014, which has allowed her to cultivate her passion, serve as a resource, and an educator. She currently serves on the National Child Passenger Safety Board as the Vice Chair-elect and the Car Seat Manufacturer Representative. She's an active member in the Society of Automotive Engineers Child Restraint Group and currently serves as a secretariat. So with that, I am going to turn it over to you, Daniela. Welcome.
Thanks, Steph, for having me. I appreciate the time to do this nationally, and it's such an honor and pretty exciting because UPPAbaby has a lot of great new product. Some of it I have spoken about briefly, but now is my opportunity to do a deep dive into each one. This is my contact information. Both of these emails cycle through to me. I am very diligent. I take honor in the fact that I am very good about returning and communicating with text. So please use these 2 emails to get a hold of me at any point. All right, so let's get going. Today, I'm going to be talking about a lot of our new products that have been out in the field within the last 6 months. And then we have a new one that's coming at the beginning of 2025. And I'm also just going to take a few moments just to give you a couple updates on some Mesa V2 information as well. So the first one that is pretty exciting is this is the Aria. I was saying to staff, this is similar to the hotel in Vegas. So I, like staff, tend to butcher names and tend to apologize after I have. So I understand if you tend to not say this correctly, but that's how you say it. It's Aria. So this is the lightest car seat on the market. It is under 6 pounds. This 6 pounds is provided without the canopy and the insert. With these 2 items, it is 6.8 pounds. So it is still the lightest out there. It's designed where we are still having all of these safety aspects and safety features in the car seat that UPPAbaby is known for, but we're not compromising on safety in big picture. The weight is 4 to 30 pounds and the height is up to 30 inches. This is the retail, and it meets 213A and 213B, which I think is pretty exciting. So This meets the new frontal and side impact standards. One of the really cool things with this product is, yes, it's lightweight, but it has an integrated headrest that travels with the child at all times. You are not having to rethread the harness as you may with other products. So we really have taken into account that we wanted to keep this safety feature, obviously for two reasons. To eliminate the misuse of threading the harness in and out of those harness slots. That's number one. And number two, just to have that added safety protection traveling with the child at all times. Throughout the presentation, you're going to see throughout all of our products, I call them our headrest ears. Our headrest ears are very large, and that is on purpose. That's to accommodate the head roll that we see in the side impact collisions. So as in any collision, everything moves toward point of impact. So what happens is the child's head comes out forward, sort of, but then also rounding toward your point of impact, hence the larger ears to absorb those crash forces and protect the child's head. This design has a double insert. All right, so there's a back piece and a bottom piece. The back piece is up to approximately 4 months, and the bottom piece is up to approximately 9 pounds, 4 to 9 pounds. The bottom piece is a boost so that the child is hitting the harness slots correctly relative to their shoulders. And the back piece is to help with that chest proud head back, more to ensure that we have proper positioning there on the child. We went with 4 months because that is approximately the time, maturity-wise, not size-wise, when a child tends to have good head and neck control. There is one crotch buckle location to obviously minimize the possibility of misuse. Only the carrier on this product, similar to all of UPPAbaby rear-facing only seats, is FAA approved. The base is not. This right here is a hang tag that's going to be accompanying our product. Just to go over a few things, one of them being how to properly use that back and the cushion insert. So what this does is it sections them two off. The bottom, the two of them off, I apologize. The bottom, the one on the right, which is really addressing that preemie cushion, and that's saying that should be coming out at approximately 9 pounds. The one on the right, so when you're using the bottom cushion, the back piece must also be used at the same time. The back piece obviously comes out, I apologize, the bottom piece comes out before the back piece. So again, the back piece travels with the headrest. It Velcros underneath the headrest ears slightly, so it's properly positioned relative to the child's back and to bring that chest proud a bit. We do have European belt routing. One thing I've noticed, especially with maybe we have seasoned techs, we have new techs. So there's some of the stuff I'm going to be going over, it may feel very similar to you, but we do have some new technicians that are on the phone. So I did want to identify exactly, for example, what is European belt routing? Because we all know we get a load of information in the 3 to 4 day curriculum class. So I just like to reiterate a few things, and one of them being European belt routing. So your shoulder belt is going behind the car seat. So this actually helps with a more secure install. I like it because you're tightening it in two different directions. You have your lap belt that's kind of pulling down, and then your back, the shoulder belt goes around and is pushing it more towards your vehicle seat back, obviously locking your vehicle retractor. There is also on the UPPAbaby, we have in the back, there is our release from our carrier and our base. If you're familiar with our products, our rear facing only seats, we typically have our release button at the top of the carry handle. In an effort to eliminate weight and then still be able to make the product user friendly, we decided to combine the release of the base and the stroller, so they both are happening in the back of the carrier, as pointed out here. We do have a 5-position carry handle. Rock stop is all the way down, and that prevents the seat from rocking back and forth. There's 2 storage positions, as you can see here, the carry position, and then your in-vehicle position. So when you're in vehicle, we would like you to rotate the carry handle all the way toward the child's feet, and that is to help in rear impact collisions. We're going to talk about that a little further on in a few more slides. Being a stroller manufacturer, before we started getting into car seats, we wound up really, taking some of those features and that knowledge and putting it into the car seats as well. One of them being is the extended canopy that has SPF protection. It has an extension here that winds up just popping out and then pops in as well. This can be used while in and out of the vehicle. The base features. This has a boatload of safety features. I put 2 views in here just so you could really see that top view. We do have QR codes that are available on our base and our carrier to help consumers as well as techs out in the field with installation. Starting at the top, we have our anti-rebound plus panel. And as I mentioned, I was going to be coming back to this. So this is great for frontal and rearward impact crashes. So frontal, it helps with rebound. So if you rotate forward in a crash, and then you rotate back toward your vehicle seat back, it helps with those rebound forces. It absorbs some of those. It's also great in rear impact crashes because in a rear impact, it's going to go toward your vehicle seat back first. So it's going to go backward first. So that's going to help with those initial rear impact forces and absorbing those as well. So that's why we have the plus panel on there. We have a built-in lock off. This is a lock off, so no need to lock your vehicle retractor. There is a 4-position adjustable foot by pulling this handle up. Smart secure system. I'm going to bounce over here to the right. So this is a visual indicator that lets parents know they're tightly installed. In all of our instructions, we also have that you should be checking your vehicle's seatbelt, like your seatbelt path as well, or your installation path, whichever way you want to mention it. But so this tension indicator rolls over from red to green. We are known for this at UPPAbaby throughout all of our products. We've actually also integrated the same type of technology up here, as well as down at the bottom where it says Smart Secure Red to Green Indicator. What the one on top does is it lets you know when to drop the load leg. Sometimes I know when I've been installing load legs or stability legs in the past, I'm not sure where at what point do I extend the leg. This rolls right here, you can see green. So this right here would be indicating that I should be dropping my load leg at this point. When this makes contact with the vehicle floor, it will sandwich and the red will slightly disappear. You might get a little bit of red indication there, and that's okay as long as you're making good contact with the vehicle floor. Vehicle floor mats have to be removed just because there is no consistency between aftermarket and then ones that ship with the vehicles to begin with. And when I say variance, I mean like thickness. The ones that are standard in vehicles a lot of times are thinner and they slip. So we're just saying, just to be safe, remove them as an added benefit and safety benefit. We have auto retracting latches. So 2 vehicle retractors in here that help install. And then we have a bubble level indicator right here too. So the bubble level indicator obviously adjusts as you adjust your recline foot. One thing that is different on this is we have a window. I apologize, it's a little blurry. It says 0 to 4 months. In this window is where we would like the bubble to sit in that age range. Beyond 4 months, if it stays in there, that is completely fine. It just means the child's going to get more optimum recline at that point. It is fine to stay in there. But during 0 to 4 months, which again goes in line with the story of the back piece on the infant insert, that's when children tend to have good head and neck control. So let's talk about load leg. I didn't want to miss that in entirely here, but as you can see here, the load leg is installed in this vehicle. This is the Aria car seat, and it goes down to the floor. You can see a side vision or side view of this as well on the right, and I did that on purpose. So what happens first is a crash occurs. And as we know, the first crash, the most common crash that occurs is a frontal crash. And in a frontal crash, everything moves toward point of impact, even the driver. So if you can think of yourself driving that car, you hit something in front and your body goes forward first. So that's a second motion that happens. And then the third motion in a car seat's case, what happens is it moves forward, but then it rotates toward the vehicle floor or the vehicle cushion in this case. What happens here is as it rotates forward, it sends those crash forces down to the vehicle floor. So that's where the energy absorption is happening. All those forces are going down to the floor. By doing that, it keeps the child more at an upright angle. The more a child rotates down at a horizontal position, their child scoots up toward point of impact. So it's going to scoot toward that crash point too. And then as a child rotates forward, it puts more stress and strain on a child's head, neck, and shoulders. A low leg keeps that child more upright and transfers the forces down to the vehicle floor. This is a feature we would really like you to use if the vehicle is compatible, meaning if it allows for you to use this design feature. Please check your vehicle owner's manual to find out whether or not they allow this. There's some reasons, many reasons they may not. Some can be the batteries that are underneath there, stow and go. There might be some other reasons the vehicle manufacturer may not allow it. So that's why it's important to make sure that the car seat and the vehicle jive. Because we all know there are some people that are very interested in whether or not there are chemicals in the seat and things are flame retardant. I always put this in when I have a chance to. So the Aria has dual tech material. So the foam and the fabric itself, they're fire retardant free. So they keep the child safe inside and out. They're woven and they're designed to eliminate any need of additional treatment. These are the 4 colors that are available on the Aria. Something really neat in case you were not aware. All of our colors are named after UPPAbaby employees' children. So we have Anthony, and from left to right, Anthony, Grayson, Gwen, and Jake. Other things to note on the Aria. Floor mats, as I mentioned, they must be removed when using the load leg. Inflatable belts, they are not permitted. So in the Aria's case, because it is a rear-facing only seat and because we don't have to worry about the lower anchor limits because of the combined weight of the child plus the car seat, you have the option to switch to latch. In airlines, there are inflatable belts. I travel quite a bit and I see them quite a bit. So they are not permitted. We are asking you to find an alternative location to install and to work with your airline to do so. 3 across, the only thing caveat with this is you cannot touch and they must install independently of each other. A lot of times what I'm finding is the base can get installed, but once you go to put the carrier on, the carrier crashes sometimes with neighboring car seats. It's not permitted. What's most important is we want that carrier to really engage properly with the vehicle, with the seat base, the car seat base itself. Vehicle seat protectors are not permitted on the Aria. Touching front vehicle seats. When all else fails and you're not sure, don't touch them, would be my advice. They are not permitted unless the vehicle manufacturer allows it. If it is permitted, only lightly touching only. Center borrowing is allowed up to 22 inches as long as the vehicle permits. Just to talk a little bit about inflatable belts. On the right, you can see an inflatable belt. It is very different than the webbing that you're probably normally used to. And the buckle is the same. Actually, it's on this side, but you can see where the inflatable belt is housed in this device right here. I believe this is on Delta, and this is what I see quite a bit, and it's only in certain seating positions. This is how it deploys. It deploys upward, and just to obviously help with the motion in that crash. My advice with you would be check with your car seat manufacturer to find out if they allow this. In our case, we don't allow it, so we would advise you to check with your airline for an alternative seating location. The issues with this, so everyone is aware, is obviously deployment, right? We can see how this would deploy in a car seat. The child interaction, we do not know. We don't test airplane seats. We don't test vehicle seating. So we don't know really what kind of forces are being transferred through the seat into the child occupant. And then also the routing. For example, we don't allow the base to be installed. We allow the carrier. This is not going to install through our guides that are on our carrier. So there's going to be routing issues as well. If there is a manufacturer that might allow convertible, you can also see that perhaps this, because of the bulkiness, could cause issues with routing in a convertible too. So I just wanted to take a few moments to bring this to light. Other things to note on the Aria. You're going to be seeing this on our labeling. This is actually also part of our hang tag that is shipping with our product. You will notice that we say we want a minimum of 1 inch gap between the child's head and the top of the headrest. This is not at the highest point. This is at all times. And this is to ensure the child's head is properly contained in a frontal crash. So again, at all times, we require a minimum of 1 inch. Now let's talk about the Alta V2. We've had some pretty exciting things that we've introduced onto this product as well. This retails at $179.99. And we've been educating on this from the get-go. We are really pushing for children 6 years and up to use this product. We want the child to be mature enough, and that might be obviously kindergarten, first grade, starting at 40 pounds up to 100 pounds, and that the inches there are provided as well. So a couple new things that we have done. We have increased our, and you can see it from the side view and the front view, we have raised our armrests for two purposes. One of them is for ergonomic reasons for the child, but another one is to try and open up that belt path for routing in an effort to try and ensure that the child and the parent are routing the shoulder belt and the lap belt underneath that armrest. So that was two reasons why we went with a design like that. We still have our 7-position active support headrests to help with that fit. And then we also wound up modifying our lap belt positioner. It used to be more like a complete C shape. Now you can see it only is about 3/4 of a C, I guess you can say. This is strongly suggested for use, not required. The reason why strongly suggested is because what it does is it properly positions the lap belt on the child's upper thighs, lower hips. And then it will also help in preventing submarining in a frontal crash. Now remember, submarining is when the child slides forward in a crash and that lap belt would ride up to the abdominal area. So this helps position everything appropriately. Booster features continued. We do have our side impact protection pods that we have here. Those are continuing on from our previous Alta. What that is that's like a front crumple zone of a vehicle. Point of impact happens there first, absorbs there rather than transferring to the child. This is active all the time, meaning it is out all the time. We are not relying on the child or the consumer to pull that out. We did update our secure belt fit routing system, and that is to improve ease of use and obviously to also get that proper positioning for the shoulder belt and contain it in this little well right here. This gray tab, the shoulder belt just slides in and it's hinged, it just opens up. In order to remove it, you would have to slide or hinge up that gray tab and then just slide out the belt. Simple as that. This has a rigid latch system, which is strongly suggested for use, not required, but again, keeps that booster in that pre-crash position and the child in that pre-crash position. We talk so much about preventing it from being a projectile, the booster, but it also keeps everything as close as possible to that pre-crash position. In order to pull out this rigid latch system, you must pull the gray handle in front here, and that whole carriage scoots outward. You rotate it up and attach the vehicle. You can also use that to scoot the back of the booster up against your vehicle seat back. Just a little bit on the fabric, safe text. So it's they're not treated. They contain no harmful chemicals, as on all of our other products. It's from left to right, more names for you: Grayson, Iris, Jake, and Cavnier. The Cavnier is just so pretty, by the way. In this, and I think a lot of parents are going to really like it because it matches their vehicle. So, all right. Some other things to note on the Alta V2. Inflatable belts are not permitted. We're saying find an alternative location to install. Let me just explain this just a little. The inflatable belts and for a booster situation, so they're in the shoulder belt, okay? Depending on where that headrest is, it may possibly inflate into the car seat and into the child's chin. So that's why we're saying just not permitted at all, because we don't want to get into, where is it inflating? And it might be different from vehicle to vehicle. And again, we don't test these systems with our car seats because they're on the vehicle side. We do not allow 3 across unless they can't touch, but they have to be installed independently. And vehicle seat protectors are not permitted. So this is a retroactive statement. You're going to see this change as a running change in our manual and also on our website very soon in our FAQs. But they are not permitted with the Alta V2. All right, so this is something new and exciting for us. This is the UPPAbaby Rove convertible car seat. It's expected in early 2025. A lot of the information I'm going to be sharing is slightly subject to change just because we are finishing up testing. Thanks for all the love. I see all the hearts floating up. We're pretty excited. So this is going to be replacing the Knox. The Canadian specs are still yet to be determined, but I don't anticipate them being far off from the US. So this rear faces up to 50 pounds. We're starting at 14 pounds still. And we're just staying with that same story. We want to be in developing and designing seats for children that should be using the seats. This is a transition seat after your rear facing only seat. We were putting little children in this and we just didn't feel right accommodating their size based on all of these different cushions. So this was just something we decided to do as a brand moving forward. It does have a comfort inlay that's not required for use, simply for comfort, up to 26.5 pounds. And it forward faces from 26.5 up to 65 pounds, up to 49 inches. It does have those side impact pods that you are used to seeing and those large ears as well for that head roll. So that story is just continuing on throughout our product. It is still undergoing testing, as I mentioned. So some of these specs may change. So we are on target for early 2025. And yes, we are excited. All right, so side impact pods, as I mentioned, it does have a removable cup holder that can be on either side. I should have mentioned as well, that's also available on the Alta. It is dishwasher safe and removable. We have that active support headrest and the no rethread harness, so guaranteeing that precise positioning and harness relative to the child's shoulders, and then getting rid of any potential misuse. This right here is going to be on our product. It's going to be, this side is Spanish, the other side is English. And it's going to be a combination of, and I don't have the updated label, so that's why you're seeing it's going to be a combined label. So the one on the right is right here, and that's what you're going to be seeing. And that's just a nice reminder about chest clip position and tightness. These two are going to be combined, showing rear facing and forward facing over on the left-hand side. So I just thought this is a great visual aid for caregivers as well as techs on rear facing at or below, forward facing at or above. And there's that 1-inch rule again. This is going to be regardless of headrest position. If a child is rear facing, we want 1 inch between the top of the child's head and the top of the headrest. Again, that's to properly ensure head containment in the case of a frontal crash. All right, here is a visual of the comfort inlay. And then I also have this blown up. Like any typical UPPAbaby product, we tend to put a lot of labels to help with interfacing with end consumers and with technicians. So this is a comfort inlay only, and it's recommended from 14 up to 26.5 pounds. It's not required. You guys are going to be seeing a lot of 26.5, or that might be rounded slightly as well, depending on the manufacturer. Just so everyone's aware, that is part of the new regulation for frontal impact. So you are going to be seeing that change. This is what our belt path looks like, which I'm going to start explaining a little more in our next slide. However, I wanted to point out the 3 crotch buckle positions. All right. And it slides very simply, 1 sliding vertical to 2, sliding vertical to 3. There's going to be a label right here. This label is something similar to what's being moved over here, just to give you an idea. And it's going to be about proper fit. It's not going to be whether or not a child is rear facing or forward facing, or whether a child is 40 pounds or 30 pounds. It's going to be about fit. So we just don't want the child sitting on top of that buckle. We just want it right up against their pubic bone so they are comfortable when they are riding in the car seat. All right. This is our Smart Secure system. All right, so I did mention with our rear facing only seats, we do have a tension indicator system that lets parents know they're tightly installed. It gives parents actually that visual confirmation and the, what's the word I'm looking for? Just the confidence that they're in there correctly. The rear is in red, the blue is in rear is in blue, forward is in red. See, that was just a quick little test for you guys. There is going to be a 5-position recline, 2 rear, 2 forward. The one in the middle can be used either for rear or forward. It doesn't matter, just to help with that proper location relative to the vehicle, cushion angle, and also the child relative to the seat. I did a little visual here as well, something we're pretty proud of. These graphics are all being updated slightly, but you'll get the gist of it. So for rear-facing install, before you had to remove this whole panel to access both rear and forward belt paths, which was a bit of a pain in the butt on the Knox. So what we have decided to do is to access your rear-facing belt path, you're just unzipping this bottom panel. That's it. Okay. And then you'll notice you get a QR code. You have instructions for installation right there on the flap, which I think is genius. And kudos to our team for coming up with this user-friendly interface. The lock off has to be open. So you're going to, oh yeah, let the hearts flow. I love this. The lock off, you're just going to pull that little tab and the lock off opens. All right. There's going to be a little indicator, visual, something letting parents know, open me kind of thing, because we don't want them to route over. We want them to use the lock off. This is what is actually triggering the indicator system. All right. So as you tighten, that pulls down. But what you have to do is go through the installation process, close the lock off door, and then you're checking your indicator to make sure you're green. Okay. You are not locking the retractor in either forward facing or rearward facing because this is a lock off. No need to do so. Okay. For forward facing install, this flap is actually just Velcroed and pulled down. So same thing. You do have to raise the headrest to access the belt path, but the same thing. And you have the instructions here, QR code. What I have also done here is outlined by a little yellow circle, letting you know where the tension indicator system is. It works the same way. Okay, again, not locking the retractor. You have your rear facing and forward facing belt paths. One thing that is great is this whole panel can still be removed, this whole thing. So since children are sitting on that piece and we're going through potty training at this age, the whole thing can be removed, washed, laid flat to dry, and then just zipped on and Velcroed on. All right. Some Rove latch limits. These might slightly change, but this is where we are right now. At 35 pounds, you must switch over to vehicle belt install for rear facing. At forward facing, you have to switch to 40 pounds. I apologize, you get a lot of visuals right now from our manual just because these aren't like 100% sure yet. So that's why I grabbed them from the manual for the time being. All right, we have our upper and our lower harness heights. I know that's always something that techs like to have on hand. So your upper harness height is 450 and your lower is 258 millimeters. So if there's anyone writing that down, I'll give you a few seconds to make a quick scribble. But I know myself, I like that, that measurement as well. Oh, and it still says Rove latch limits. My fault, that should be a different title. All right, let's talk about this multi-directional tether. I am such a visual person. This is actually the Knox, all right? I don't have photos that are updated with the Rove, but this gives you a concept of how great this added safety feature is. And we've taken it and we've put it back onto the Rove product because it's just, I don't know, it speaks wonders, the photos do, in my opinion. On the left-hand side, you can see left and right, you have without tether and with tether. So this is a multi-directional tether. It's used forward and rearward. Right now you're seeing it in the rearward installation. All right, so here's your starting point. Over on the right is that full rotation. So do you remember me? I had that visual of the load leg and I said, oh, this is where the crash is. Everything moves to a point of impact. Here you're seeing the rotating of the seat in the frontal crash. Okay, so it's moving and rotating toward point of impact. In a load leg situation, right, those forces go down to the vehicle floor. In this situation with a tether, what it does is the tether catches the seat. It prevents it from rotating too far forward, and it keeps the seat more up at that upright angle. All right, so this is a visual that's explaining it. The difference is again, the crash forces are all distributing along the back side of the seat. All right, and they're being caught by that harness, the tether. Okay, then let's talk about something else. I kept mentioning that 1 inch that I want all the time on our products now moving forward between the top of the head and the top of the head restraint. And that's for this reason here. Consumer Reports does a test and, or they do that frontal test as well. But the difference that they have is beyond the fact that the speed is slightly different. They also have a plate that acts as similar to the front vehicle seat. All right, so you can see that without the tether, it comes pretty close. All right, and this is in a controlled environment, meaning like the seat angle, everything is set up to, you know, at specific point. So, you know, who knows if we have a tall driver where that seat back is going to be. On the right, when you are utilizing that tether, what it does is it gives you more space between the front vehicle seat and the convertible car seat. All right. In that case too, we are helping preventing the secondary head impacts that can happen with that front vehicle seat. Okay. Because again, the child stretches upward because there's stretch that occurs in that internal harness. And as it rotates forward, that's when secondary head impacts can happen. Okay. One thing that I am personally extremely proud of is we're all familiar with the National Digital Check Form. We did, I did pull data most recently and we found out that you'll notice our tether is yellow. Okay, it's hard to tell in this photo, but there's yellow on it. The anchor's yellow, the adjuster's yellow, and it's stored external to the seat. So right here, you can see it stored. It's just hooked on the back. So our misuse rate on our Knox convertible car seat for the tether is lower than the national standard for misuse rate, which we are pretty excited about, which we are attesting hopefully to our education, as well as to the fact that we try and draw attention to it with the yellow. So I think that's a big win for us and one of the big reasons why we've kept it on the Knox convertible car seat as well. because so this is a design feature, and the data that's supporting you know, the thought process and all of the technology and everything we put into it. So I don't know, a little bit of bragging, I know, but something we're extremely proud of. So I wanted to share. Other things to note on the Rove. Inflatable belts, again, not permitted. Find an alternative location to install. Same thing with airlines. 3 across, they have to install independent of one another. Smart secure system. Finish the install and then check the green to ensure that it is green post-install, and obviously checking the belt path. Vehicle seat protectors are not permitted on the Rove. And then touching the front vehicle seats, again, I would advise just don't do it if you're not sure. And if the vehicle manufacturer permits it, then we allow light touching only. A friendly reminder about all the information I just shared on the Rove. It's still undergoing testing. All values are provided are subject to change, and it's expected to launch in early 2025. Okay, I'm just going to take a few moments on the V2, just so that I just want to point out a few things, specifically some things on install. This seat is not compatible with a Mesa Max and the Aria base. All right, and then those two products are not compatible with this base. That's first and foremost. I always like to go over the waterfall. All right, we're familiar with this because we see it in a lot of vehicles. And what we're saying is we would like you to change that installation process slightly when you have this, if you have this situation that I'm going to explain. In order to get green on the side here, okay, you have to adjust your recline foot. Makes sense, right? Our recline adjusts up in an arc. So the higher you have to extend the foot, the more it might pull away from your vehicle seat back. The wedge, actually, the waterfall interferes with our recline foot and it creates a gap here. Okay, so we're saying fill that gap with a rolled towel up near the top of the base. All right, so what this does is it fills up the gap. And otherwise, if that wasn't there, what would happen is you would go through the installation process. It would probably close this gap up just by installing, which is great. But in doing that, it would lift the front of the base, and we don't want that. We want the base to come in good contact with the vehicle cushion. So you need to fill the gap. Obviously, get green on your indicator system. Check your belt path. Make sure your recline indicator is green still, and then make sure we have contact with the vehicle cushion. This installation applies to the Mesa V2, the Mesa Max, and the Aria. So it applies to all of our car seats. Okay, you will find this information in FAQs. All right, so if you go to UPPAbaby.com support FAQs, this is it right here. And there's a hyperlinked PDF that you can print there, that you can have at car seat events. If you need assistance in trying to remember that, no pool noodles, just towels. And then we also have it in our manuals. So here you're seeing it in the Aria manual. And if you have a gap between the seat back and your base, we say use a towel there. And then there's also another page that goes into further explanation. And this is also available in seatbelt install. So it's in the seatbelt install as well as the latch install on all of these products listed. The Mesa Max, the Mesa V2, and the Aria. Okay, a couple other things to leave you with on the Mesa V2. Inflatable belts, not permitted. Switch to latch. Again, that's because latch laws don't apply. Airline, not permitted. 3 across, same story. They have to install independent of one another. Vehicle seat protectors, not permitted. This is retroactive moving forward. You saw this throughout the whole presentation, and just to quickly explain why. There were some that we were allowing. We were endorsing other products, which is fine. But one thing that we did realize is that because these are third-party products, we don't know when they run design changes on their products. And because of that, we can't continually just be testing constantly because it costs quite a bit of money. So the bottom of our bases are finished. There really is no reason for it. So we're saying moving forward, no vehicle seat protectors are permitted with any of our car seats. Touching front vehicle seats, same thing. Center borrowing, we allow up to 20 inches as long as a vehicle manufacturer permits. So, and we're going to go through some questions. What I would say, and I should have said it earlier, is you might want to stick around past questions because there might be a nice little surprise for you guys. So anyway, I'm gonna hand it over to Steph, who's gonna help me with questions.
Yeah, you bet. And Daniela, so much great information. I was just sitting here kind of watching the Q&As come in but learning as I was going, and I learned so much from you today. So thank you from me and everyone else with the hearts and the cheers and everything coming. It was wonderful.
I love the reactions. I'm a big reaction person, so thank you.
Yeah, it's very fun to see. So we do have some questions. One question is, can you explain why not pool noodles and just the towels?
Yeah. I think part of it is generally speaking, I find like, so we did a lot of installs through COVID. All right. We do a lot of virtual support, I think, as an industry now, and I know we do as a brand. We don't typically run into parents that have pool noodles readily available. They might have, you know, a blanket or thin blanket, a receiving blanket, towels at their house. That's a big reason. The other reason too is we were getting more compression and better compression using the towel. So we felt more comfortable going with that consistency.
Okay, that makes good sense. And Daniela, if you wouldn't mind going just to the next slide, because your information is going to be on the next one, so that way everyone has that. Yeah, you bet. So Lainey is asking that some of us have seen that the indicator on the bottom of the load light doesn't turn green when the baby isn't in the seat. So that can make expected parents think they've installed it incorrectly. So do you have any advice for that?
Yeah. So, Lainey, I'm not sure if you heard me explain that, but we're saying as long as we're making good contact with the floor, that's all that matters. If you get some red showing, it's completely fine. If you were to call our customer service department, they would also say the same thing. I believe, and I will double check as I'm saying this, and if not, we will make sure it is on our FAQs, but I believe we have an FAQ on it. But I will double check that statement. But you have my word. If you need anything in writing from me, please reach out to me at either of these emails or the phone number provided here, and I can give you something in writing.
Perfect. And a couple of these questions you may have answered after the question was asked, but I'm going to ask them just to, you know, make sure that the person that's asking them gets their answers. So Joseph is asking, if the vehicle owner's manual doesn't indicate if the light can be used or not, what's the rule for use? Because he's sure that there are older vehicles that wouldn't have that information.
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say store it and not use it then, just to be safe. I think it's important that there is something in writing from both the car seat manufacturer and the vehicle manufacturer stating you're able to use it in order to use it, just to be safe. I know we can't always get a hold of customer service on the vehicle side and the car seat side all the time. And you know, that latch manual is a godsend. We all know that. But you know, that would be my advice.
Okay. Vanessa, I do see that you raised your hand, and I'm just going to ask you, if you do have a question, please just put it in the Q&A box, as we don't open it up, you know, to you being able to ask the questions. So if you could do that, that'd be great. Daniela, Amanda is asking, when you say the seat requires a child's head to be 1 inch from the top and not just the highest setting, do you mean 1 inch from the head support or 1 inch from where the shell of the seat ends, since the head support goes beyond the shell at the highest setting?
Right. It's the headrest. So in our manual, we do point that out. I apologize, I didn't use that word, but it is the top of the headrest. Just in for that reason, right? The headrest extends past the shell. We just want to ensure their little head is protected at all times.
Okay, perfect. That's great. And then will you be prohibiting seat protectors under all of the rear facing only seats?
It's actually going to be on all of our seats, period, moving forward. And that's
Period.
because we just, you know, we can't control what third party vehicle seat protectors do. Like, you know, they might go through a cost saving change, remove material, do something, and it, you know, would affect the performance of the seat, of any of our seats. So we've decided just to move forward just with that statement. We're just not going to allow them. Who knows? Maybe we'll come up with our own. I don't know, to be honest. I'm pushing for it, but we'll see. I have no control.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit of advice for Estelle. She tried the Alta 2 for her
Okay.
child. She loves it. It was very easy to buckle. The problem that she had, though, is because the armrest sits so far forward of the bite, not only was the lap belt very low on her child, the shoulder belt didn't make contact with her child's body. And so she wondered, you know, is there any chance of testing that, routing the shoulder belt, not the lap belt, but the shoulder belt behind the armrest so it isn't held so far forward?
We actually did test it the other way as well. I'm not sure what the results were, to be honest. That's probably something we can dig up or I can dig up and look into. I understand exactly the way you wrote it was very well written because I understood exactly what you were talking about. And yeah, no, you know what? That's a good point. I will bring that information back to our R&D group and let them know. But that's why these are so great, right? I get
Yeah,
feedback.
yeah.
Feel free to
That's
even
what, yeah.
go ahead. Sorry, Steph.
No, absolutely. No, you finish your thought, Daniela.
No, I was just going to say, feel free to reach out to me and shoot me an email. That will help. Like we can do a little digging on there. So.
Yeah, and it's one of the reasons too why we definitely keep the recording going for the recorded version that goes online, because the Q&A can be very, very helpful for technicians. So,
Oh.
yeah. And then the last question, if there are any others that come up, please, you know, we have a few more minutes, put your questions in the Q&A box. But Anika is asking that a question that keeps coming up in the store with customers, so they'd like a little bit more information, is regarding the Aria, I think I got it right, bucket
Yeah.
angle. Yeah, and its design, because
Yeah.
the bucket is smaller and it looks like the inside's very deep and in a V shape rather than a C shape, and customers are worried that the baby sits more upright in it. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So you don't want a C shape. You do want more of a V shape because it supports the child's back better, and it allows, like, depending on how it's designed with the insert also, it allows the head to go back a bit more, chest forward. So there's that part. And there's also, so the Aria only goes to 30 inches and it only goes to 30 pounds. You'll notice on our V2, for example, that seat goes to 35 pounds and 32 inches. So longevity of the seat is a lot longer using the V2 than it is the Aria. It just depends also on what the customer, the consumer wants. I believe that if we get a tall person coming in, I probably might think that their child's going to carry those characteristics too. So maybe the Aria may not be as ideal for that consumer. The other part too is, like, if you were to look at that seat and the center of gravity, it is all center of gravity, regardless if it's on the stroller, in car seat, like on the base or on the floor as well. So it's all designed to all align properly to support the child's back angle. And it is in the design requirements that we have internal to UPPAbaby as well, which is that 45 degrees. And then there's also obviously some tolerance to that too. If she'd like to discuss a little further, you can definitely reach out to me at one of these numbers. It sounds like you're a retailer, so I'm happy to jump on a Zoom and chat about this too. But I'm happy to support.
Perfect. And then the last question that Maureen is asking is that the manual says if the proper angle cannot be achieved with level adjustable foot, a rolled towel may be used. the foot must be in the fully extended position. Does that mean the foot at its most reclined position?
Yeah, so that would mean it's fully extended, like it's all the way out. If you can't get recline then you would add, I always say start with like a fold flat. And then if you have to bulk the towel up, we honestly have, it's very, very rare we run into a case where a towel is needed. But yeah, it would be with the extension of the foot. In Canada, the recline's slightly different just because of their testing requirements. So that's the only country, and it's like very rare still, where I might run into having to get a little bit more recline. But yeah.
Okay. Well, great. Well, thank you. There is one other question. It's about the CEUs, and I'll cover that when we get to that slide. But
Okay.
with that, I'm going to let you talk about the giveaway.
Yeah. So, one of you lucky people here that have joined us today have the chance to win a UPPAbaby V2, the Mesa V2. All right. And that is regardless if you're using it for training purposes or for personal use. So congratulations. Steph is going to be able to handle that. I'm going to let her speak about it a little further in the next slide as she explains information about gathering your CEUs and where to get all of that. And congratulations to the winner up front. We'll ship it directly to your house.
So exciting. That's just great. Thank you so much for that. And again, thank you for all your knowledge, for taking the time to be on with us today, Daniela. And as you can see, everyone there, the question that was asked of me was, is there a reason we would put the CEU as an in-person? And the reason for it is tomorrow afternoon, after 2 p.m. Eastern time, you are going to get an email that comes from Zoom, and it has a event ID number on there. When you go to in-person means we have a moderator with us and you're learning as if you were in person. And that event ID number is what you're going to put under the in-person for one CEU. So again, that comes tomorrow afternoon after 2 p.m. Eastern time. If you don't get it, please check your spam. Many times it goes to spam. And if you don't see it there, you see my email, sheitch@safekids.org. Shoot me an email. I will check your attendance and I will send you that so that you have that. You're going to keep that email as proof if you would get audited so that you have that. So again, not until tomorrow after 2 p.m. Eastern time. And after you log off, you will get a survey that is completely optional for you to fill out. You don't have to, but you will get a survey afterwards that just helps us with our webinars, our future webinars. So again, Daniela, thank you for that seat. And that will be, I will let the randomizer give us a name, and that will be posted on the National CPS Certification page this afternoon. And you'll be able to see who that winner is. Daniela will reach out to that winner by email and get all the information on where to send that car seat to. So we are thankful for each and every one of you being on, and especially for you, Daniela. Any other closing thoughts as we close?
No, just thank you for having me. This was great. I love the opportunity to be able to do this in such, and reach so many technicians. And I'm even happier that it's recorded so people can go back for information. So thanks, Steph, and Safe Kids.
Perfect. Have a great and safe day, everybody. Take care.